Hey, it's me, Vicky Marie. Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you are in this crazy world we're living in. Well, I've just come on briefly because this awful news that has just come out, this breaking news. There has been there's been a plane crash in India. And the flight was had only just taken off. Literally, the flight had literally only taken off seconds earlier. I've put Sky News in the background so you can see it, and you can. And the destination of this plane was Gatwick. So there are, in fact, 53 British people were on this plane. So, I mean, it's a terrible event, an unusual event. Apparently, the company is it Air India. They've got very good record, very good safety record. And what happened to this plane is still, obviously we don't know yet. It's just in the early stages of the investigation. But what is certain is that it literally, within seconds of taking off from the airport, it barely got into the sky. Apparently a mayday call was received, and the plane crashed, and we've got, lots of videos of it crashing, and it seems that it crashed in, it looks there like these are houses around and about, because it crashed outside the airport parameter, if you like. It had got up, far enough to go away outside the airport, but it hardly got into the sky. Anyway, let's have a look at some of the videos of it. Let's see. Let me find videos. So a lot of British people on there, and some children as well, very sadly. And of course, India, a lot of people from will have either maybe they're British Indians and they were going home. They'd been home to visit their relatives and were coming back. Or, of course, it could be the other way. It could be people that live in India, but they're going to visit their relatives in the UK. And then, of course, maybe people just on holiday, etc. So the city is Ahmedabad. So an Air India plane crashed in the residential area near Meghaninagar. Obviously, I don't know anything about India, but, about the geography of India. But just lots of videos coming out, obviously, videos that people were taking. Now, there was a massive, when it crashed, there was a massive explosion because, of course, there will have been a lot of petrol on that plane, won't they? Because it's just, a lot of fuel, I should say, literally just taken off. So it hadn't used any fuel. Now, people were being rushed to hospital, so that sounds like some people did survive. Let's just have a look at this. So
British nationals were on board the flight bound for Gatwick Airport, which crashed after takeoff in Ahmedabad. Like I say, we've just heard this in the last few moments. Air India reporting that
so it's a big incident. At the end of the day, it's a big incident. Now, here's the actual... So as he took off there, he looked a bit wobbly, didn't they? So it's thought that maybe, because a Mayday call was issued as soon as they took off, virtually, again, within seconds of takeoff, a Mayday call was issued. So there must have been something wrong immediately. And it looked a little bit shaky. Then it looked like, you know, he had control of it, because can you see it? Let's see it from there. Yeah, it looked like it's coming down then he seemed to go back up a bit, or no, not really. Oh, look at that. Terrifying. So let's go back to the yeah, that's where he seems to sort of be a bit jittery. And then you felt that the way he positioned it was as if he was trying to go up, wasn't he? He was trying to go up, but he couldn't. Let's go back to the beginning again. Of course, they say takeoff and landing are the most dangerous times. Yeah, look, he tries to go up there. Or maybe now he's trying to land, trying to position to land. It's like there was no power there. It's like there was no power. You know, the amount of power, obviously, it takes for a plane to lift off. It's like there was nothing there. Oh, maybe was I sharing that? Let me see. You know what I'm like for sharing. No, I was sharing it. Let's watch one more time. Very sad, isn't it? I mean, the thing is, it is the fire that will do it. Does anybody know? I'll come into the chat in a minute and say hello. I don't know where the gasoline is, the petrol, the fuel. Where is it stored? Is it at the front or the back? I don't know. Or is it all throughout the plane? Does anyone know? Hi, Paul. Hi, Bluebell. Hi, my angel. Hi, Annie. Yeah, terrible news. Very sad news. Oh, Bluebell, I know you're going on a plane soon, but I didn't realise you'd never had been on one before. This is so rare, to be fair. You know, don't... hi, lovely lurkers, and hi, replay crew. No. She's got a head. Hey! Right, here. Come here. Come here. She's got her head under the blind because the blind's open a little bit. Try and let some air in. No, you can't with this one. Get in. You can't, because then she thinks she can put her head under the blind and bark at everybody. No. Hi, David. So, yeah. Right. Sorry, I'll be one sec. Oh, you're going to lie down there now? Like, she seems to have lied down okay now. Yeah, because otherwise I'm going to have to close the blind, because otherwise she'll stick her head under it and bark at everybody. Yeah, so very unusual, isn't it? But I know the takeoff and the landing are the most dangerous times, aren't they? At the end of the day, that's the way it is. But that seemed like literally just seconds after taking off, isn't it? Just literal seconds. Let's just watch it one more time. Just can't get the height. Just can't get it to go up. What? No, I mean, Now, I've seen videos of rushing people to hospital. So I know that some people must have survived, because probably if I keep going down here on the Twitter feed, there was video footage of people being rushed to hospital. So some people have survived, no doubt. But does anyone know where the fuel is stored on a plane? Is it at the back? Is it at the front? Is it in the middle? Is it all the way along the plane? Because I would imagine that you've got the most chance of survival if you're not near where the fuel's kept. I don't know. Yeah, so apparently they had a clean record. Indian Airlines, what people are saying. I'm trying to find the here. So there is video of them taking people to hospital. So hopefully that means that some people have survived this crash. This guy looks to be conscious at least. There were quite a few children on the flight. Yeah, there were quite a few children on the flight, so let's hope the children are safe. So very sad. I wonder what happened. So, of course, that's what the investigation is now. Let's have a look at this.
A minute or so before he did, for the simple reason that he declared a mayday call also. Secondly, the aircraft has reached about 800 feet. And after that, it's seen to come down. And most probably, after takeoff, he should have put the gear up. But as he is coming down for the crash, you can see that the gears are down also. So
the gears are down as it's coming down. So there was some talk on one side that it had crashed into the perimeter wall of the airport, but it's gone into a civilian area. So that makes things even worse, doesn't it? Because imagine you just sat watching the telly or whatever and a plane lands on top of you.
Expected that aircraft was not going to be able to be flown and was expecting a crash. That is why I presume he had put the gear down also.
Do you also fear, Captain Wadia, that the death toll
Let's watch this from the beginning, actually.
Limited information that we have, I understand the captain knew he was going to crash a minute or so before he did, for the simple reason that he declared a mayday call also. Secondly, the aircraft has reached about 800 feet. And after that, it's seen to come down. And most probably, after takeoff, he should have put the gear up. But as he is coming down for the crash, you can see that the gears are down also. So captain expected that the aircraft was not going to be able to be flown and was expecting a crash. That is why I presume he had put the gear down also.
Do you also fear, Captain Wadia, that the death toll will increase?
Quite likely, but again, things are not very clear. There were some pictures shown earlier, part of the aircraft fuselage on top of a building. And obviously, this aircraft would have landed on its wheels and broken up in some pieces. So some passengers could have been alive in the aircraft and rescue operations. And you've seen some passengers being taken to the hospital also. So the aircraft may have broken up on impact and some passengers may have been able to leave the aircraft alive also, quite likely.
Of course, we're tracking all those developments. Stay on with us, sir. Let me quickly also...
Yeah, I mean, it would explode on impact, of course, because the impact would make it explode with the amount of fuel that was probably in it. So I don't think that's strange that it, burst into flames as soon as it landed. I'm just wondering which part of the plane would somebody be to have the most chance of escape. So would some people have been thrown? Can't have been thrown out, can they? Or anyway, some people have survived, but there was over 200 people, maybe nearer 250 people on board. Pilots, the crew. So there's a lot of people on that plane. So it is a terrible incident.
To go across to our reporters to get an update on the situation on ground. Rishabh is also with us on the broadcast, I believe. Rishabh, the Home Minister, the Prime Minister, all monitoring the situation very, very closely. At the moment, the priority is to rescue as many people as the teams there can.
Well, definitely. What we're given to understand that Prime Minister has personally spoken to the Chief.
So, obviously, it's a rescue mission at the moment, and it's a scramble for information as well. Because imagine that flight, apparently, I'm going to go back to Sky News now, that flight was supposed to land this evening in Gatwick. So there'll be family that are expecting to see their loved ones this evening. People will be waiting for that flight, won't they? And then to sort of turn on the news. I mean, I don't know how they get to know about it first. You can't let all the family know immediately, can you? Because you wouldn't know who all the family were. So they did say quite quickly, that it was a Gatwick flight. It was due in, I think it was around about sort of early evening tonight. It was due local time at Gatwick. It was due to land. And, oh, look, Buckingham Palace, the King is being kept updated even. Because there are a lot of British people on that flight. So let's just have a look at the updates that Sky News is saying. So 4 minutes ago, Keir Starmer said the scenes emerging are devastating. 6 minutes ago, they said that pilots had nearly 10,000 hours flying experience. I think there were 2 pilots on there. British politicians react saying it's a horrifying tragedy. And then, of course, we've seen the actual... Let's have a look at this video.
In aircraft such as these.
Well, you're monitoring the flight path initially, and you have a certain altitude at the point at which you start to accelerate to retract your flaps. And so initially after rotation, you'll be raising the gear. And then not a great deal happens until you reach your level off point, which could be 800 feet, 1,000 feet, depends on the noise abatement. In other words, the point at which you're able to level off and start to clean up the aircraft. And this is often the reasons why there are different heights where you do this is to do entirely with noise impact on those people living underneath the flight path. So you are concentrating very hard, but and you're also monitoring.
So 53 British nationals. Now, from what I can gather, the other passengers were obviously Indian, or I think there was some from Portugal. There was one Canadian. But as I say, over 50 of the passengers were British. Gosh, it looks absolute chaos. Now, that's a civilian area. That's a civilian area, isn't it? These are people's homes by the look of it. Gosh.
And so you are actually concentrating very hard, but you shouldn't have too many distractions on board. And you're always prepared for an engine failure. I mean, all airline pilots are always ready to cover it because it requires an immediate action on your part. And so that goes through your mind. And but on the other hand, it is a routine takeoff for experienced pilots, and you just carry on expecting everything to be fine. It looked like nice weather in these videos, and something horrible has gone wrong.
And in this moment, as a pilot, and we understand there was 2 pilots on board, you would be operating the aircraft manually. You'd be steering via the yoke. You would be manually controlling the throttle. You wouldn't have it in any sense of autopilot at this point.
Well, that's a very good question, actually, because some pilots will hand fly the aircraft for quite a considerable length of time after the takeoff. But many others will engage the autopilot very early, and they could even do so at 500 feet on takeoff. So one cannot know at this stage whether or not they had engaged the autopilot or not. And on a personal point of view, when I was flying in a very busy airport where there are lots of aircraft around, I put the autopilot in early so that I could then monitor the flight path, not have to use up so much brain power actually flying it, but monitor what's happening outside.
I don't know if you've seen the footage, and we will share it with our viewers again later this hour. I don't know if you've seen the footage preceding the moment of impact, Alistair, but I was speaking to another former airline pilot. His initial analysis was he didn't feel as though
I just turn it down a bit and leave the pictures up so we can chat. Gosh, the scenes. I mean, there's a lot going to come out of this, a lot more to say about it, isn't it? I mean, it just looks absolute chaos. But what's especially worrying me is these just look like buildings where people live, and they look like they've been devastated by fire. Are these the people that have been taken to hospital? Because, you know, we've seen people taken to hospital, and I thought, oh, good, thank God there's some survivors, but maybe they're people that were injured on the ground. Because when you saw that plane go up in flames, you could not imagine that anyone could survive it. You know, but that I don't know, you know, we just don't know, do we yet? These are all things to come out. Right, let me see if I can find some more information about it. Oh, well, you might know, on the Business Insider, the Boeing stock has slid. You know, I fancy just talking about the money side of it. Yeah, so straight away when I started looking for information about this, it comes up, Business Insider, Boeing stock slides after Air India 787 Dreamliner crashes. So apparently these Dreamliner planes are the best-selling, what did they call it? The best-selling long distance plane, was it? Or they are the, you know, they're a very popular plane, put it that way. Let's see if I can find any more information. Let's have a look at Reuters, because they're quite good, aren't they? So yeah, 242 people on board. Now, I don't know if that includes the pilot and the crew. I presume it does. So India's federal health minister has said that many people are killed. So it makes me wonder if those people that were being taken to the hospital, maybe they were people who were, you know, not on the plane, because when you saw that fireball, you couldn't imagine that anyone could survive that. So apparently the plane was headed to Britain's Gatwick airport, and it crashed in a civilian area near the airport. Oh, so they're saying that the building on which it crashed is a doctor's hostel. That's ironic, isn't it? A doctor's hostel. We have cleared almost 70 to 80% of the area, and we will clear the rest soon, a police officer said. Okay, so the 242 people, let's share this tab actually so that you can see it as well as hear me saying it. The 242 people were 217 adults and 11 children. 169 were Indian nationals, 53 were Britons, 7 Portuguese and 1 Canadian. An aviation tracking site, Flight Radar 24, said the plane was a Boeing 7878 Dreamliner, one of the most modern passenger aircraft in service. And they said, at this moment, we are ascertaining the details and will share further updates. The injured are being taken to the nearest hospitals. The crash occurred just after the plane took off. One channel showed the plane taking off over a residential area and then disappearing from the screen before a huge jet of fire rising to the sky from beyond the houses. Visuals also showed debris on fire with thick black smoke rising up into the sky near the airport. They also showed people being moved in stretchers and being taken away in ambulances. And according to air traffic control at Ahmedabad Airport, the aircraft departed at 1:39 p.m. Of course, that'd be local time, which was 8:09 British time, which would be 9:09 here in Spain. And it gave a mayday call. I mean, immediately after taking off, it gave this mayday call within seconds, you know. So what do you think? God, what could it possibly be? What could it possibly be? Just you know, amazing, really. Unbelievable. How what could go wrong? Now, years ago, get a little bit of waffle. I was on a plane coming to Spain actually with my son. Was it when we were coming here to actually live? I think it might have been. And my friend, and my son was a baby. He was only 9 months old. Was it that time? Anyway, the plane took off, or it went to take off, and then it came back down again. So you can imagine, I mean, I'm a nervous flyer anyway. I was hysterical. So it was probably a little bit like that. It went to take off and it didn't even get off the ground really. Went on the run up on the runway and then just stopped and taxied back round. And the pilot, you know how they come on all calm, don't they? And he said, "Oh, sorry about that, ladies and gentlemen, but we've got an emergency light flashing." And he said, "It's probably nothing. It's just like when you get an emergency light on your car, you know." Well, again, it might be nothing, but it depends what the emergency light is, isn't it, that flashes up. And he said, "It's just the equivalent of an emergency light coming up on your car." He said, "It could just be an electrical fault. It might be nothing, but I'm not prepared to take the chance and take off." He said, "So we're going to be stuck here for a little while, you know, it gets checked out." And I never forget this guy, all these sort of guys got on in boiler suits. One of them had a big wrench in his hand. I thought, what's he going to do with that? You know, like, just anyway, to cut a long story short, was all fine in the end. It got repaired, whatever it was, the light got fixed. And we took off, and it's funny. So when we took off, everybody started applauding, and I'm like me, Larry. I'm going, "No, don't clap yet. Wait till we land before you start clapping." So I'm thinking, what are you clapping for that we've got off the ground? Let's clap when we get to the destination, which was Alicante Airport. Let's clap then when we land safely. Oh God, I'm a nightmare to go on an aeroplane with. So that's why really I prefer just flying on my own, to be honest. I don't really like to be with anyone else when I'm on a plane because I am just irritating, and at least when I'm on my own I can be as irritating as I want, and you know, I don't have to inflict it on anybody else. But you know, it just makes you wonder, doesn't it? Is it, you can't imagine that someone could something could go wrong so quickly, you know, within seconds. You know, you couldn't imagine that. Now you can, yeah, but there was a phase, wasn't there, when people did used to clap when planes landed, you know, which, you know, it's fair enough when the pilot makes a good landing, you know. You know, some landings are better than others, aren't they? You know, sometimes you get a good, if all the conditions, now the conditions were good with this flight, which makes it even more mysterious. It wasn't windy or raining or foggy or, you know, any of those things that can cause problems. It was perfect conditions for flying. But yeah, there was a stage, do you remember, there seemed to be a period of time where every time a plane landed, everybody would clap, but I don't think there's so much to it now. I don't know. It's been a couple of years now since I've been on a plane. When did I last go on a plane? Probably 2 years ago. And nobody clapped then. But it is nice, you know, if they're good at the landing, and some landings are so smooth, aren't they? I like those smooth ones, and they literally come down, just brush the tarmac. just maybe a little jolt, you know, and then you get other ones that are like boom, 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 like that, where they've hit the runway a little bit too quick, or I don't know what causes it. But it is nice when you get a nice soft landing thing. But I'm always more nervous on the takeoff than the landing, to be honest. I don't worry so much about the landing, because I always think, well, we're going in the right direction anyway. So if something goes wrong, well, as you're landing, you know, you're heading for the landing strip, you're going downwards the right direction. I just feel like it'd be easier to sort it out if you were landing. But yeah, taking off is, I think you can see that that's the deck, because that you're going against gravity, aren't you, when you take off? But that's very mysterious, isn't it? Let's have a look at, let me finish reading this, then we'll have one more look. So here's a little map. What have we got here? Yeah, it literally just took off, and its last signal was within a couple of seconds of taking off, and then that's it, it crashed. No, it was like, gosh, seconds. So we're just trying to get more information. Let's have another look at the actual crash itself. We'll have another look at some of the videos on X. So he does look as if he's trying to lift the nose up a bit as he's coming into land. You know, it seems to be shaky, and then he seems to try and lift the nose up a bit. Look at that, just instant. That fuel, there would have been full of fuel, wouldn't it? And, you know, I don't see how anyone actually on the plane really could have survived, to be honest. So very sad, so very sad. And this is the site. Now it looks like it's in tree. I mean, I hope it hasn't actually crashed on houses. I hope it hasn't. Oh my God, what's that? Did someone? Not sure what that's there for. Now, of course, there's a lot of, you know, there'll be lots of speculation about if it was, you know, some sort of, you know, whether it was designed to be brought down, or was it just malfunction, or did something more sinister happen? These are all the questions that are yet to be answered, aren't they? But of course, these days there's always a social media video. But having said that, it's probably a good thing as far as investigations are concerned. Now, some people are talking about sabotage. This person's saying, because, you know, there's a lot of, what's the word, a lot of tension, isn't there, between India and Pakistan. But then would there have been a Mayday call? Because how would they have even, you know, known that if it was a bomb, for example, they wouldn't have even known, would they, until it went off? But this guy made a Mayday call. So, of course, they've got to get the black box, yeah, etc. Oh, yeah, crashed into a doctor's hostel. Okay, has made a statement. We'll watch this once more, and then I'm going to go back to Sky News for a bit, and then I've got to finish then. Yeah. So let's see what else, if anything else has come up in the what they know about it. I mean, it's fast moving, like the information that's coming out. It's coming out quickly. Oh, look at that on that hostel, literally on top of it. Oh my God. That is literally on top of that hostel. God. Dear me. I mean, when they said on a hostel, they weren't lying with it. It's literally on top of it by the look of it, or that part of it is anyway. There's probably bits of the plane everywhere. So they're urgently trying to establish the cause, according to this. Could it have been sabotage? Hi, Jean Bissett Fair. Could it have been sabotage, I wonder? Or is it just, things happen. Rarely they happen. I mean, it is so rare. I think that's what we've got to remember. It is very, very rare for anything to go wrong with an aeroplane. When you think of the millions of flights that take off every day, I mean, literally thousands, millions all over the world. It's very rare that there's an accident. There's probably little things happen here and there. There's probably a lot of things happen that we don't even ever get to know about. But it's so very rare for a big incident like this, isn't it? It's curious, isn't it? Very curious. Just looked to me that he was trying to go up, and it was like, like if you are in a car and then, when the motor starts to go or whatever, and you're driving along and then you put your foot on the accelerator and just won't happen. It just won't, just loses power. It's sort of moving, but like, you can't get the power up, like you wouldn't be able to get up a hill or anything like that. That's what it looked like was happening. It was like he was trying to go up and the power just wasn't happening. But the thing is, aeroplanes have got so many motors, haven't they? So many engines, for that to happen, you'd have to, be a lot of engines that would have to fail. And then, of course, wasn't that plane crash not long ago to do with birds? There's always this thing about birds, isn't there? Going into the engines. That's a possibility. Sabotage is a possibility. Pilot error is a possibility. Everything's a possibility at the moment. We just don't know, do we? So, yeah. I just think, just so awful for the people that were on board and the people that maybe have been injured on the ground. But the people that were on board that were flying back to Gatwick, people will have been expecting them. Maybe there'll be people who live in London that are expecting their family to come and visit. Maybe haven't seen them for years, because it's not as if flying in between Gatwick and India is cheap or quick. So, it's probably not something that they do every couple of weeks. Looking forward to seeing their family, or maybe people who'd been to India to visit their family, because I'm not saying that all of the people that were on that flight were British Indians, but probably a lot of them were. and coming back, and then that happens. Or coming out to visit their family, and their family will be waiting for them there at be waiting for them there. Yeah, Angel, you're right. It could be more than one thing. It could be a combination of a couple of things. Just seems really weird to me to have happened just with it in seconds like that. You know, so quick. Anyway, let me put I just want to put the candle up. So I'll be saying prayers for anyone who's affected in that crash, and details will come out as we go along. I may be back later. I've got to go now. Got some stuff to do, and then I've got to go and pick up number one son. Then I've got to take him back later. But I definitely, as I say, I'll be back for members in any case. But if anything sort of breaks about this. But, you know, it's funny, when this news came through, I was just literally finished off the live this morning from the mushroom murders. And I was just sort of, you know, putting some of the clips on TikTok, etc. Otherwise, I wouldn't have seen it. And then, you know, I normally have, anytime I'm on the computer, I've normally got Sky News running in the background, and it came up and just couldn't believe it. So the Indian Prime Minister said the crash is heartbreaking beyond words. Very, very sad. It certainly is heartbreaking, isn't it? So, guys, I will see you later. Yeah, lots of candles. Put all the candles we can up. Let me see if I can go into my... I can't put candles up on the StreamYard. I have to go on to the actual video, which sometimes not that easy to do. Let's see. But yeah, we need candles. Candles and prayers, isn't it? That's all we can do. We can't do any more, but you know what? At least we can do something. We can do something. Okay, thank you, guys. And Annie, thank you so much for the Ko-fi. Thank you. And I'll see you all later. And until I see you again, may your God go with you. Thank you. Thank you for caring about these people.